All right, got a new video from Karl Jobst or Karl Jobst. Karl, he's doing a video about Billy Mitchell, the video game player of the century, and about how he's a giant fraud. And it's really kind of interesting. I think there's some really interesting takes along here. I did this last night during a stream, and I encourage you guys to hit the subscribe button. And of course, the thumbs up button if you guys like this type of content where I am reacting to classic inspired videos and stuff like that. So with that said, do me a favor, hit that. And a reminder that Side Scrollers is coming back. You guys remember that podcast I used to do back in the day? Well, I'm bringing it back in a new format. So make sure you guys go over to iLikeSidescrollers.com and get all the information you could possibly get, or patreon.com/sidescrollers, and learn more about it right there. With that said, you guys enjoy this. I had a really good time watching this video, and I think I made some okay points, but I don't know. We'll see. Let me know down in the comments what you think.
Hello, you absolute legends. In 2019, video game player of the century Billy Mitchell sued Twin Galaxies for defamation after they removed his high scores from their database and said he didn't achieve them on original hardware.
Can we just stop for a second and talk about how freaking funny it is that Billy Mitchell is the video game player of the century? By the way, I would just like to go on record and say that I was the video game player of 2022 and right now the current reigning video game champion of 2023, and for the last 13 years I've actually been the video game champion of the world. So, video game player of all time. So I just want to throw that out there. So please refer to me as the greatest video game player of all time. Thank you.
For almost 4 years, this lawsuit has dragged on, and thankfully for everyone involved, it looks like it should be wrapping up and going to trial sometime this year. The crux of Twin Galaxies' defense so far has been centered around 2 videotapes that show Billy's high scores, and it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the gameplay seen on these videotapes cannot come from an original Donkey Kong arcade. Instead, they must have come from an emulator. Billy Mitchell seems to have lied and said he played on an arcade machine when he in fact didn't, and this opens up the possibility for cheating in numerous ways.
That's interesting, obviously. He has yet to mention the proof as to how. I'm sure he'll get to that as to exactly how they know it's MAME versus a traditional console. So.
His lawsuit against Twin Galaxies, Billy claims these videotapes don't matter because he achieved the scores live and he has witnesses. How is it possible that he performed them at a live event in front of hundreds of people if he faked it and actually played on an emulator? The videotapes must be fake or are not his actual gameplay, or
as a result, I immediately knew that one of the 2 following solutions explained the circumstance. 1, the technical allegations by Young were bogus and originally unidentified Donkey Kong hardware can generate the output of these alleged videotapes. Or 2, Mr. Richard falsified my videotapes to frame that I cheated. No matter the truth, no imagery, no imaginary third option exists because I achieve my records legitimately according to the outline adjudication rules. Sometimes between February 3rd and February 6th, I called Jason Hall and I denied the allegations to him directly, clearly stating that I achieved my records on legitimate hardware.
Should just be ignored because he has real people that say he really did it, and they saw it happen, so it must be legit. As Billy said in his lawsuit, if everyone is lying, it must be a conspiracy akin to that of the Kennedy assassination.
Thus, Twin Galaxies' case is essentially rests on a conspiracy nearly as broad and unattainable as the Kennedy assassination. he actually said. Now, listen. I have around here somewhere. I actually have Billy Mitchell hot sauce that he made for SGC. Like, I wanted to get Billy Mitchell to SGC one year, and didn't happen. But he sent us some hot sauce, so. That's great.
But here's the problem. The videotapes were the only tangible evidence these scores ever happened, so that's all anyone had to go off. Aside from the tapes, it was just people saying that it happened, which really doesn't cut it. There was no footage of Billy actually playing. There was nothing to indicate that he was even there or that he played at all. That is, until now. For the first time in 15 years, photos of Billy Mitchell at one of these events where he claims to have achieved one of his world records have surfaced. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. These photos absolutely destroy Billy's case.
Like, what is it? Look, they exist all right, but they're not good. It's not good. By the way, so we have Billy Mitchell and we have Todd Rogers here. I wonder who this other guy is. Let's find out. I'm very excited. I like that. Was this? He performed at the Florida Association of Mortgage Brokers. That's awesome. That's great, man. I wonder how much they paid him to appear. That's good stuff.
He is done. There is no more doubt Billy will lose his lawsuit. These photos do more damage than anything that has come before them, and I'm not exaggerating. Even if you disregard all of the videotape evidence, Billy's world records would still be disqualified and he would still be banned for lying just because of these photos. So how is that even possible? Let's find out. I really hope you enjoy.
Before we get into that, question for you. Would you rather have been in the limelight for, I don't know. I mean, I say the limelight very loosely with Billy Mitchell because he was, it's very relevant in a very small niche. Like, there's niche gaming, then there's niche gaming. Like what Billy Mitchell has been relevant for as far as being, the King of Kong. Obviously, that movie really kind of helped, portray him in that light. But would you rather, he's still benefiting from his name, and I think that's the thing that out of this, like, you could say, well, he's a crook, he's a cheat, but he still is doing appearances at events and things like that. He's still making money for being Billy Mitchell, regardless of if he's a fake or not, which is crazy to think about. Let's continue.
Now, legends, I am super excited because this video is sponsored.
Oh, we'll just skip right ahead because they're not sponsoring me.
When Twin Galaxies banned Billy Mitchell in 2018, they did so because of videotapes showing two scores. The first is a 1.047 million point score Billy achieved in 2004, known as the King of Kong score. It's called this because this score is featured in the King of Kong documentary. The second is a 1.05 million point score Billy achieved in 2007, which is known as the Mortgage Brokers score. This is because he supposedly achieved it at a mortgage brokers convention. The videotapes for both of these scores show footage that isn't legitimate. This is a fact, and it's why he was banned.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. The big breakthrough in Billy Mitchell's case came from an evidence package published by Jeremy Young on February 2nd, 2018. The presentation was the result of research into the ways in which MAME and arcade draws boards level screens differently, resulting in what came to be known as MAME signatures. These signatures were identifiers which could never be produced by original Donkey Kong hardware. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I mean, what's amazing is that people have gone through frame by frame. This matters to people so much that they've gone through frame by frame to look at these things. So it's fascinating stuff.
But aside from that, there was no other evidence that Billy even played the game, aside from a few people saying it happened. Well, to be completely fair, the King of Kong score actually does have 0 witnesses. It's the Mortgage Brokers score that Billy has a few witnesses for. And it's this Mortgage Brokers score that we now have photos for. So let's take a deeper look into this. Of course, as the tape shows the score wasn't done on an original arcade, we'd assume he didn't actually get the score at the event. But for a moment, let's forget all about the videotape and humor Billy's argument that the tapes don't matter. In his lawsuit against Twin Galaxies, Billy submitted 5 witness statements saying they were at the event when the score happened.
I have so many questions about this right here. Outside of what Carl's talking about right here. The fact that Billy Mitchell, I guess they used his likeness for pixels. Wasn't that the idea? Because they had the little guy who essentially plays Billy Mitchell in it. Once again, benefiting off of being Billy Mitchell, right? So he clearly was paid something at that point. Because he's being interviewed in front of pixels, right? So that clearly happened. So in a weird way, Adam Sandler paid Willie Mitchell over here for his likeness. Crazy.
Two of these statements are from people who worked at the convention. They just say they were there when it happened, but they don't say they actually saw him get it, and they aren't even Donkey Kong players, so they have no idea what's going on anyway. We all know that Billy likes to lie in public, as he recently showed, so a random person thinking a score happened when it really didn't doesn't mean much. So we can disregard those two statements.
Okay, so... Okay, I kind of have an issue with that statement. The idea of like, well, they don't know what they're talking about, so we can't allow, you know, their testimony in this. I do have an issue with that because they're like, so I was mentioning this conversation I was having over the weekend on Twitter, right? And the person was like, well, are you a customer of limited run games? Why does it matter to you? And I'm like, well, because I don't need to be a customer of limited run games to know that that's shitty, right? And I don't know. I don't think you can just be so dismissive. While they may not know like the P's and Q's and dotting all the I's and stuff. I don't think that's necessarily fair to just dismiss them that quickly. You know, see who hasn't played Donkey Kong. Like it's very easy to follow. There's the score. This is how you get there. And this, you know, I don't know. I mean, but we'll continue.
This leaves three witnesses that say they directly saw him get the world record. The first is from a guy called Richard Mallion. He says he watched Billy's score reach beyond 1 million points and that he saw him achieve his targeted score. Richard is actually a childhood friend of Billy's. In fact, he appeared opposite Billy in the school yearbook. But let's not hold that against him. While it is common for friends to lie for each other, let's not assume that's what happened.
Once again, really bizarre that like people care this much to look at Billy Mitchell's yearbook to know that Richard Mallion was right. Like it's just crazy. It's like really crazy.
Now, when I'm deciding whether or not someone is trustworthy, what I do is create two columns. One for yes, I should trust them, and one for no, I should not. Then I put things into each column and weigh them up at the end. So first, I can see that Richard dresses really well. He has a nice suit, and he has a nice watch. No one who dresses this well could lie. So I'm going to put that into the yes column.
I like the extreme sarcasm that we're getting here, man. This is funny. That's awesome. He has a nice suit. Can't lie. I trust this guy. And what's that say about me? What's that say?
For the no column, there isn't much I've found out about Richard that really concerns me, except for this super tiny detail of him pleading guilty to conspiracy, securities fraud, money laundering, and criminal contempt in 1996 after an FBI sting operation. I mean, it's probably nothing, but it would be remiss of me if I didn't include it. Back to the yes column, Richard just seems like a super friendly and nice guy. I mean, no one who looks this happy could lie, so this has to go into the yes column. Now,
once again, just dripping of sarcasm at this point. And I gotta be honest, pretty outstanding. Pretty outstanding. let me turn down the N64 tunes.
Now, looking at the no column, I'm going to be super nitpicky here and include this other small thing. And look, maybe this is being too judgmental, but I'm going to go ahead and add to the fact that he was charged again with fraud in 2019 by the SEC. And
okay. That's hilarious because I was thinking like the 90s was a long time ago and, you know, people can change and get on the right track. But, you know, the old double whammy, the double fraud.
Had to pay back $750,000. It's probably not even worth bringing up, but again, I just want to be fully transparent. However, I'm
fraud again. Dress is nice.
Must say that Richard has some really good motivational quotes on his Twitter feed. I mean, look at these quotes. They are truly inspirational, and he put his name in bigger text than the person who actually said the quote. So
Karl, I've never met Karl before, but I'll tell you what, I appreciate greatly your sense of sarcasm and wit that you have delivered so deadpan in this script. I mean, amazing stuff. Amazing.
When you think about it, who said the quote really? I'm going to have to put this into the yes column. Now, I should probably leave it there, and at this point, I really am not being fair to Richard, but I'll just add one more thing and I'll let you decide. In 2021, Richard was unfortunately arrested for conspiracy to commit fraud. Look, he has just not been lucky when it comes to fraud. He keeps getting caught. I, for one, do not hold this against him. When I look at this table, I see 3-3. It's pretty even.
This is pretty outstanding. So what you're saying is you shouldn't trust the guy who's been hit with fraud 3 times, and this guy once again is the guy who is saying Billy Mitchell broke the score. Pretty outstanding. Fraud again. Arrested for fraud. I like that he doesn't put fraud again. Diversifying. I like it.
Personally, I'm leaning towards trusting the guy, but you let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, so Billy's first witness is a bit sketch. Who's number 2? Billy's second witness that says he saw him get it is Todd Rogers. Oh boy, this is not going well. Okay, hit me with number 3. Surely we're going to get a winner. The third witness that says they saw Billy get the score is Kim Mahoney.
Can we just stop down for a second and just really point out that once again, people care about this. Billy Mitchell cares about this so much that he's had people write these like legal statements, these freaking legal statements. I, Kimberly Mahoney, declare that I was an individual over the age of 18 and I make this declaration. Okay, just good Lord, just ridiculous, crazy. Like, at a certain point, aren't you just like, yeah, look, I messed up. I'm sorry, and you realize that you messed up, and I mean, or he just honestly, truly believes that he's lying. You know, maybe he is lying. Maybe he's lying, and maybe he's just lied so much that you truly believe it. I've known people. Look, I'm not gonna lie. There were times in my early 20s where I lied so much that I forgot that I wasn't telling the truth. You know, tiny stuff. You know, like not like fraud, but you know, there's like, you know, I went and shot 500 bass today. You know, did I shoot? You know what I mean? Like just like little things. Just damn.
Who is also Todd Rogers' girlfriend. I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm getting the impression that Billy's witnesses may not be entirely trustworthy.
I also greatly appreciate that he kept the website of mugshots.zone on the image just to kind of further push that home. I love it. Karl, excellent.
Anyway, let's take a look at these new photos. Remember, this is the first time we've seen any footage of Billy at this event in 15 years. So there's Billy and Todd, and Billy's talking to some dude, and that looks like the Donkey Kong cabinet behind Billy. It's got a VCR on top, which is how they recorded the score. It all looks pretty legit so far. There's Billy and Todd posing with a couple of people. There's a camera that was recording Billy play, even though that footage doesn't seem to exist for some reason. Here's Billy and Todd posing again with the thumbs up. Maybe this is just after Billy got the world record. I have to admit, everything here looks pretty legit, and oh my god, what is that?
At this point, I legitimately don't know what the issue is at this point. But I'm on the edge of my seat. Good Lord. Good Lord. Once again, how did they find these pictures? Who was looking through? Like, once again, this is not a digital thing. At this point, these were pictures that were printed out, right? So someone had to be going through pictures to find them. Be like, where are those pictures of Billy Mitchell at the mortgage convention in 2008? Where are those? Okay. All right. I've been told it's coming. We'll see. Is that something to do with the joystick? Usually there's a ring around it, you know. This is crazy. Here we go.
That joystick is not an original Donkey Kong joystick. This arcade machine does not have original, unmodified Donkey Kong arcade hardware. This is an original Donkey Kong stick. It's got a big black ball and a short column. The stick on Billy's arcade is a tall stick with a smaller ball, and it's obviously red, so the stick has been changed to something else. On top of that, it appears to be an 8-way stick. Now, the original Donkey Kong stick is 4-way, which means it can only go up, down, left, and right. But an 8-way stick, like the one you would find on all modern arcades, can also go diagonally. When it comes to Donkey Kong, an 8-way stick fundamentally changes the way the game can be played. If you want to steer barrels while on a ladder, you have to stop and hold left or right, because you can't go up and to the side at the same time. But with an 8-way stick, you can continue to climb ladders while steering barrels by using the diagonals. With an 8-way stick, you can do things you can't do on an original arcade.
Okay, so many questions right here. Obviously, the first question is, as somebody who doesn't know about Donkey Kong, does the game accept upper left inputs and right and down input, like directional inputs? If it was played with a 4-way stick, does it still accept those directional inputs, which is something I don't know. I don't know. Because my first thought was, so he changed the stick. As long as he's playing on the board itself, what's it matter? But I don't know. I'm sure he's going to get into this. I do not know. I do not know. Craig, I said. Evan, coming in with the $10 super chat, says, the lie that every guy in his 20s said, they can last with a girl for hours. I don't know one guy at the time who didn't say that, right? Evan, you been reading my journal? I was going to say diary. You been reading my journal? Can go for hours. And by hours, I mean seconds. Oh, man. Ethel Warrior, thank you so much. That's right. Dr. Sharp says, men keep journals. That's right. I don't know. I feel like that's a good question about the 8 ways. We'll see. I'm sure he's going to answer it.
Which is why they are banned. So not only is the stick not original, which was totally banned, it looks like an 8-way stick, which is extra banned. And not only would Billy's world record still not count because of the modified stick, but Billy would still also be banned for lying about it. And oh boy, did he lie about it. His entire lawsuit against Twin Galaxies is based on the premise that he played on unmodified original arcade hardware.
Nope. There it is. There it is right there. There it is right there. Oh, man. Crab says, it isn't programmed to only register one direction, but you obviously can't go left and up at the same time due to the hardware. Okay. Yeah. Just in his own words, the original unmodified hardware. I wonder if he's thinking, like, in Billy's mind, the unmodified original hardware means the board itself, not the stick and everything else that goes along with that. I don't know.
Which is categorically not true, not only from the videotapes, but now from the photos as well. And his lawsuit is full of lies where Billy claims the hardware was unmodified. And not just Billy, the referees who adjudicated the score lied as well. Todd Rogers and his girlfriend Kim Mahoney both say in their sworn statements that Billy played on unmodified hardware. Everyone just got caught out, big time. And it gets even worse, because these...
Well, let's actually go back and look at this. I think, and I'm sure Carl's looked at all these things quite in depth. It says, on Saturday, July 14th, 2007, Billy achieved a Donkey Kong score of 1,050,200 points. As an assigned referee, I personally confirmed that the machine was a legitimate Donkey Kong arcade machine with original unmodified hardware. There was see, this is where I think that they are thinking. There was no emulation, i.e. MAME used, and there was not even any computers in the area. I also confirmed that Morgan... Okay, well, yeah, sounds good. I think that they think they're right. Like, obviously, very much so. But I think it comes down to, like, semantics. When it comes to the idea of unmodified hardware, are they... I don't even think they think that the stick is legitimately thing. But Carl says that the stick is banned, so I don't know. I'm not a Donkey Kong expert, but I'm very curious about this. This is exciting stuff.
hardware. Everyone just got caught out, big time. And it gets even worse, because these photos don't just affect the mortgage broker's score world record, they also affect the King of Kong score as well. This is Robert Childs, who is also a longtime friend of Billy Mitchell. For those with a very good memory, this is the same guy that was in the infamous fake board swap video. He has been lying on behalf of Billy for years.
I remember that vaguely. I think that was in King of Kong, if my memory serves correctly. I have a King of Kong poster around here somewhere, or at least I did. Maybe that was at the office for a long time. I don't recall.
Part of the con artist clique. Robert Childs runs Arcade Game Sales, which is an arcade retailer in Florida. Arcade Game Sales is important because this is where Billy claims he achieved the King of Kong world record, on an arcade cabinet provided by Robert Childs. Now, as part of his case, Billy Mitchell also submitted a sworn statement from Robert Childs, and Robert states in 2003 he helped Billy by providing an arcade machine. He swore that this was an original Donkey Kong arcade machine. He says this same machine was used when Billy got his King of Kong score in 2004, and says this same machine was used again in 2007 at the Mortgage Brokers Convention.
Okay, once again, I'm going to say this. I don't think that they think they're wrong, because yes, he was playing on an original Donkey Kong machine. They never said he wasn't playing on and this is where they're going to get all slimy about it, right? They never said he didn't use a modified joystick, right? Which, I don't know. What's fascinating about this is like, who really cares? It's so amazing because I just watched a Netflix documentary and it was about, I watch Netflix documentaries about everything. The guy who got the Pepsi jet, or didn't get the Pepsi jet, from the Pepsi points, and I watched one about Pez the other day. What, but it makes you care, and I care so deeply right now, while absolutely not giving a shit.
This means that not only is the mortgage broker's score disqualified because it was a modified machine, but because Robert Childs swears it was the same machine used in 2004, the King of Kong score is disqualified as well. Billy Mitchell, Todd Rogers, Kim Mahoney, and Robert Childs were all lying about the arcade machine that was supposedly used, and now it's proven. You may be wondering why Billy would lie about something that can so obviously be disproven, and the answer is that Billy didn't know these photos existed. In fact, the entire Donkey Kong community didn't know these photos existed.
I'm sure he's going to answer this question, but how did they find the pictures?
They were only made public recently, and not by Billy Mitchell. These photos were never made public, and they were only retrieved now by directly contacting the organizers of the convention, which luckily still had them. I cannot stress enough how damning these photos are. Even if you were to disregard every single thing that has ever been said about Billy being a cheater up until this point, based solely on these photos, Billy would still lose his lawsuit against Twin Galaxies. His records would still be removed, and he would still be banned, because these photos show his records are not legitimate. I cannot wait until this goes to trial, and you best believe that when it does, I'm going to cover it. I'm excited, and I think you should be too, because this is going to be a lot of fun. As always, thank you so much for watching, you legends.
Well, listen, I get it. At the same time, I don't get it. But I do think it's really fascinating. Ethnic Warrior says, directions depend on gates that restricts direction, not software diagonals, registered as both directions. So it's possible it was cheating. Yeah, like I said, I think that it depends on the letter of the law, right? If they say you have to play on original everything, then yeah, he's absolutely right. But if the idea of playing on an original arcade machine and it not being made, and there is some gray area, I don't know. Like, it's really fascinating. It really, I mean, in the most bizarre way possible, it's legitimately fascinating. And I think that I will absolutely be interested in this, because you're dealing with a man's reputation, right? Really two man's reputation, right? Because you have Karl, who has essentially built a channel and more or less a career out of creating videos like this about Billy Mitchell and the fraud of the retro gaming scene and such. And it's fascinating stuff. And by the way, I don't think Karl's wrong at all. But then you have Billy Mitchell, who has this entire reputation built around being this, video game player of the century. And, I don't know. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be brought to trial and some judge is going to go like, what? And that's the way it's going to end. Man, Guru says, how many original arcades exist to be played? That's actually a really great question. How many original 100 like when you play an original arcade game, does that mean that no maintenance can be done in it? Once again, there's gray areas there, right? And once again, I want to be clear. I am not defending Billy Mitchell in this situation. But I think I understand how Billy Mitchell and his crew are thinking on this, right? Because once again, if you are to play on original hardware and original software, no maintenance could be done in it because that could have modified the way the stick moves. You probably shouldn't be able to clean it. It's got, I don't know. I mean, these are legitimately good questions to ask, and I don't know the answer to them. I don't. So I guess we'll have to all wait with bated breath to see what happens. Once again, go to ilikeside-scrollers.com to get more information about side scrollers, and of course, subscribe if you like this type of videos here on the channel. See you guys next time.